Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name's Don Arleth, and you're watching Midday Report, which starts right now. The European Parliament has lifted the immunity of two Law and Justice MEPs, Daniel Obajtek and Michał Dworczyk. The party is a member of the European Conservatives and Reformists group in the European Parliament. Dworczyk's case concerns his use of a private email account during his time as the head of the Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki's office. Dworczyk allegedly used an unsecured account to conduct correspondence containing classified information. Obajtek, the former CEO of the Polish state energy giant Orlen, is under investigation over his personal use of private detective services, which he billed to Orlen. The motions to waive the immunity of both Law and Justice MEPs was submitted in 2024 by the then Polish Minister of Justice and Prosecutor General Adam Bodnar. The European Union is considering whether to restrict the travel of Russian diplomats over concerns of espionage. According to leaked documents provided to TVP World, many of these official Muscovites in the EU are involved in activities that contribute to Russia's aggression in Ukraine. More on the proposal from our EU correspondent Angela Skujins in Brussels.
The European Union is seriously considering whether it needs to clamp down on the movements of Russian diplomats, their families and consular staff within the EU to stamp out espionage fears, according to a leaked document sent to TVP World on the condition of anonymity. The legal proposal sits at the core of the EU's latest sanctions package against Russia for that country's ongoing invasion of Ukraine. The document states that according to the EU's diplomatic arm, that's the European Union External Action Service, those under diplomatic cover from Russia are participating in actions which undermines Ukraine's role in Russian aggression, as well as how this war is unfolding, the cause of the war, and how the European Union is coming to Ukraine's support. Now, the pitch aims to change the rules of movements for these individuals. Currently, Russian diplomats, their families and those that work at the embassy are allowed to move within the Schengen zone freely without needing to notify any national government. If this proposal gets over the line, they will need to notify governments within the member states of their intent to travel there within 24 hours. Now, the Financial Times is reporting that according to its sources, all EU governments are on board, and the initiative is spearheaded by the Czech Republic. In 2014, a sabotage attack resulted in that country with 2 deaths. We also are hearing from our own sources here in the Belgian capital that there is a certain air of optimism that the 19th sanctions package could get over the line this week. However, major question marks hang over whether Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico will toe the line of this and vote in support of this initiative. However, we are already hearing from Moscow that the Kremlin aims to respond in kind to this proposal to curb the movement of Russian diplomats. Angela Skujins from Brussels for TVP World.
And Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said on Tuesday that Russia will prepare an appropriate response to EU plans to restrict travel of Russian diplomats. Moving on now, overnight Russian attacks have struck a civilian infrastructure in several Ukrainian regions. As winter approaches, Kyiv says that Russia is trying to cripple Ukrainian power supply.
Drone attacks caused fires in several areas of Ukraine's second-largest city, Kyiv. Some 24 explosions were heard in the city overnight. No casualties were reported in that attack. Ukrainian authorities have also reported attacks on civilian infrastructure in the Poltava, Chernihiv, and Donetsk regions of Ukraine. In the strike on Kherson in the south of the country, at least 2 people were killed and over a dozen wounded. The Sumy region was once again targeted by the Russian military a day after a maternity hospital in the capital of the region was struck by a drone. There were nearly 200 people in the building at the time of the attack, but all managed to take cover in time and no casualties were reported. Also overnight, Ukrainian drones attacked the city of Tyumen in Russia's Siberia.
According to local officials, 3 drones were shot down over an industrial facility with no casualties, fires, or explosions reported in the attack.
Russian authorities said that the unspecified facility continued operations without interruption following the attack. The intended target of the strike may have been the Antipinsky oil refinery in the southeastern part of the city. It's not the first time Ukraine attacked Russian energy infrastructure in Tyumen, located over 2,000 kilometers deep in Russian territory. As per sources in Ukraine's military intelligence agency, Ukraine was behind an operation that caused an explosion of a major gas pipeline in the region on July 11th.
U.S. President Donald Trump said that he has, quote, sort of made a decision on whether to supply Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. His remarks come just a day after his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin warned that such a move would damage U.S.-Russian relations.
I've sort of made a decision, pretty much, if you consider. I think I want to find out what they're doing with them.
Yes.
Where are they sending them, I guess? I'd have to ask that question. That war should never have started, would have never started. Such bad judgment was used there. I think on both sides, by the way.
The 7th and most powerful yet nuclear reactor will be built in Slovakia with American technology. To that end, the government of Prime Minister Robert Fico has signed an agreement with the U.S. company Westinghouse, which will provide the technology.
This is the nuclear power plant in Slovakia's Bohunice, where the country may soon start building its 7th reactor.
Our goal is to use the infrastructure of the Jaslovska Bohunice nuclear power plant to build another reactor fully owned by the state. Its output will be significantly higher than the existing 440 megawatt units. The reactor will exceed 1,000 megawatts.
Slovakia currently operates 5 nuclear reactors, 2 at Bohunice and 3 at Tomahawk, and is building 1 more at the latter location. The country has one of the biggest shares of nuclear power in its electricity generation mix in the world, second only to France. But it wants to bet on nuclear even more.
We estimate that our electricity consumption could rise by 40 to 60% by 2040. To meet this demand, we will need new sources of energy. Moreover, the Slovakian Republic must compete as a country to attract data centers, and these too require huge amounts of power.
Choosing Westinghouse will help relieve some of the heat the country has been getting from Washington for sticking with Russian oil and gas purchases. In the region, Poland also tapped Westinghouse as the technology provider for its first nuclear power plant.
The outgoing French Prime Minister is holding last-minute talks in a bid to find a way out of a deepening political crisis. The call to hold the talks came from French President Emmanuel Macron following Le Cornu's shock resignation on Monday.
Talks kicked off at the residence of the French Prime Minister on Tuesday. Le Cornu met with Macron's centrist alliance and the Conservatives to see if a new cabinet agreeable to both sides could be formed. Macron asked Le Cornu to find a way out of the crisis on Monday, but it was not clear what would be the scope of the outgoing PM's responsibilities. Le Cornu made the call to resign after his government was rejected by both allies and opponents on Sunday. This marked the shortest-lived administration in modern French history, lasting a mere 14 hours.
The composition of the government was not smooth and awakened some partisan appetites, sometimes, quite legitimately, linked to the upcoming presidential election.
More negotiations are scheduled throughout the day, involving party leaders and government coalition officials. And while politicians meet to find a way out of the deepening crisis, the people of France have expressed concern with their leaders.
Frankly, I'm starting to question politics in France in general. I think Macron should resign. Well, I presume because it's been enough. At one point he made the wrong policy choices and now it has to stop. This doesn't bode well for a climate of trust among professionals or the French population, and unfortunately we're becoming a bit of a laughingstock around the world right now. We're a bit of a clown around the world and in Europe, unfortunately.
Macron gave Le Cornu 48 hours. The deadline expires on Wednesday evening.
The winners of this year's Nobel Prize in Physics have been announced by the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences in Stockholm. 3 U.S.-based scientists were jointly honored for their work, which reveals quantum physics in action.
These are the winners of the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physics, announced at a ceremony in the Swedish capital.
The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences has today decided to award the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physics to John Clark, University of California at Berkeley, USA, Michel Devoret, Yale University and University of California at Santa Barbara, USA, and John Martinez, University of California at Santa Barbara, USA, for the discovery of macroscopic quantum mechanical tunneling and energy quantization in an electric circuit.
The Nobel Prize was created by Swedish chemist and entrepreneur Alfred Nobel. The winners will share a $1.2 million prize money and receive a gold medal presented by Sweden's king. Clark told the Nobel press conference by telephone that he was stunned to be named as a recipient. Today's announcement follows the award on Monday of the Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine to researchers whose work explores the human immune system. Nobel Prizes in chemistry, literature, peace and economic sciences will be announced in the coming days.
Poland's kayaking champion Klaudia Zwolinska has returned from the World Championships in Australia with 3 medals, 2 golds and a bronze. After her return to Warsaw, the athlete said she has high hopes for the upcoming 2028 Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles.
Klaudia Zwolinska has made canoeing history. She's the first woman to win an individual medal in all 3 women's disciplines at a single canoe slalom world championship.
I feel amazing. These 3 medals are something I've dreamt of for a long time. Even as I was traveling to Paris for the Olympic Games, I was saying it was within reach to fight in 3 categories at once. But few people took me seriously. That's when I had this thought that I'll prove this is doable.
The confidence paid off. The Pole won 3 medals in just 3 days.
This isn't just my personal success, even though I have gone down in history. This is a success for Polish sports in general.
For now, Zwolinska celebrates her victory, but she's not losing sight of what's still ahead, the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, where she'll compete for the first Olympic gold in her career.
Thousands of visitors flocked to Nova Gorica, Slovenia over the weekend to take part in the ROR Festival, which celebrates audio-visual art. The title of this year's edition was Elements.
This year's edition of the festival centered around a trilogy of planets and celestial bodies. According to the organizers, the artworks were intended to inspire visitors to explore humanity's relationship with the vastness of the universe and to explore the achievements that enable our development through history.
Mycelium is a natural internet. It's basically a food web as well as an information web. Plants communicate with each other through the water system to maintain their habitat.
To look thoroughly instead of having a distracted view on things. It invites us to be more contemplative and to dig deeper into various matters. More specifically, our video mapping is a coming-of-age story about growing up, about friendship.
Artists from 8 European countries traveled to Nova Gorica to exhibit their projects. The festival has been organized since 2023, starting with the theme of the Moon, then Mars in 2024 and finally Earth in 2025. Nova Gorica is this year's European Capital of Culture, together with Chemnitz, Germany.
And that concludes today's Midday Report. Thank you for joining us and stay with us for more here on TVP World.